Hey, what's up? Update 1.075.014 might not look massive at first glance, but it quietly fixes a handful of issues that players have been running into, especially around taming, visuals, and how a couple of newer creatures behave. If you've been dealing with weird interactions, strange UI moments, or inconsistencies during tames, you're probably going to notice the difference right away once you hop back in. One of the first things worth talking about is the fix for Drakelings not being able to be picked up properly depending on your language settings. It sounds small, but if you run with a Drakeling on your shoulder for its buffs or utility, you know how frustrating it can be when it just refuses to cooperate. This patch finally smooths that out so shoulder interactions behave consistently again. It's the kind of thing you don't think about until it breaks, and once it's fixed, you suddenly remember how much easier life is when the creature actually listens. The update also tackles the Bolus mechanic, which has been a point of confusion and occasional chaos during certain tames. The Bolus now shows your current and max dino count right in the UI when you're in the middle of a tame, so you aren't guessing whether you can absorb something or if you're at capacity. That extra clarity helps more than people realize, especially during chaotic encounters when you're juggling stuns, timers, and aggression from nearby creatures. The automatic ejection time from the Bolus during taming was also reduced from 8 seconds to 5, tightening up those moments when you're trying to keep control of a situation before it spirals. And the patch puts an end to buried creatures getting pulled into the Bolus, which previously caused some extremely strange outcomes. Another important fix is that wild creatures will no longer aggro onto an Ossidon during its taming process. If you've ever been in the middle of an Ossidon tame and had some random wild thing turn your moment into pure disaster, you know how big of a quality of life change that is. It reduces the number of tames ruined by interruptions you couldn't realistically prevent, especially in busy areas. Speaking of the Ossidon, the update includes multiple adjustments to its taming flow and interaction logic. One notable fix addresses the scenario where you could remount a wild Ossidon after dismounting it while it was still stunned, which was leading to inconsistent behavior and potential exploit-like situations. Taming high-level Ossidons was especially unpredictable before, and this patch tightens their behavior in a way that should make the whole sequence feel a lot more stable. If you've been chasing a perfect Ossidon tame and ran into weird remounting or interaction bugs, this build should feel noticeably better. Visual improvements also got attention in this update. Blurry dossiers have been fixed, which means you can finally open creature entries again without feeling like someone smeared your screen. The character creation preview was improved as well, so what you design and what you actually see in-game match up more closely. If you're picky about appearance, or you've ever felt surprised after spawning in with a character that looked slightly off compared to what you created, that fix is going to feel pretty refreshing. There's also a restoration of proper paint behavior for the mech, enforcer, and similar creatures. Paint regions and dye application had stopped behaving the way they were supposed to, and now everything should respond correctly again. ARK has a big creative and aesthetic side, and it's always a little deflating when your custom paint jobs don't show up right. So having this corrected is one of those quiet but impactful wins. Beyond the obvious fixes, this update bundles in smaller tweaks that help shave off some of ARK's usual rough edges. One example is preventing buried creatures from being absorbed accidentally, which used to produce results that were anything but predictable. There were also adjustments to a few interactions that didn't trigger correctly, like certain effects during wild riding. These aren't flashy changes, but they collectively help the game feel more stable moment to moment. ARK has always been a bit quirky around the edges, and patches like this help tone down the number of random what just happened moments that can break a good run. The update rolled out across PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, so anyone playing on official servers or public servers should already be matched to the new build. If you record content or keep your audience updated on patch behavior, you'll have a pretty easy time showcasing differences by testing the adjusted taming mechanics, or flipping through your dossiers and character presets to highlight the visual improvements. These subtle updates show really well on video because they're immediately visible even without long explanations. When you load in after installing the update, the differences won't smack you in the face all at once, but they're definitely there. Shoulder pets behaving normally again is instantly noticeable. Interactions during tames feel tighter. Dossiers look cleaner. The Bolus info being right on screen feels like something that should have always been part of the mechanic. And the Ossidon, which was giving people all kinds of trouble since its introduction, finally feels more predictable and less prone to weird remounting outcomes. So, once you're updated, check out the creatures that were causing trouble before, try a tame or two that gave you headaches in earlier builds, and get a feel for how the improved logic plays out in the wild. It's one of those patches that doesn't shout for attention but quietly smooths the overall experience in a way you feel the longer you play. If you've spent enough time wrestling with untamed creatures or dealing with unpredictable mechanics, these fixes make the game feel a little more controlled, a little more polished, and a lot less frustrating.